Okay, boys and girls, I have a new story for you today, and it is called Harriet, You'll Drive Me Wild. Boys and girls, if you look at the illustration on this storybook, who do you think Harriet is? You think this is Harriet? This? Or this? Well, we are going to have, we're going to have to read the story to find out, but actually I'm going to go ahead and start the story by showing you and telling you this right here is Harriet. So if this is Harriet, who do you think these other people are? Well, this is her dog. That one's easy. Who do you think this is? Okay, it's probably her mom is what I'm guessing. As soon as I pulled this book out, I thought of our little goofy song that I sing in class. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here, up in here. And when I sing that, it's kind of like the same thing as, oh, you're driving me crazy, you're driving me wild. I say that same stuff here at my house to the boys. Okay, now, if someone says, you drive me wild, how do you think that makes you feel? How does that make you feel if somebody says, you drive me wild? And then my other question is, why would somebody say that to you? You drive me wild. Okay, well, when I picked up this cover, I was thinking, oh, I could probably change this title to say, Hayes, you'll drive me wild. Because in my house, Hayes is always the one getting into something, doing something he's not supposed to, or just not following directions. And I know a lot of times it's because he's young, he's still learning, but sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, dude, I've told you the same thing a million times. So let's read the story and find out why Harriet drives her mama wild, and see if you can relate. See if you've ever done some of the same things that Harriet does, or if something similar has happened at your house. Harriet, You'll Drive Me Wild is the title of the story. The author's name, I like this name, it's different. The author's name is Mem Fox. Boys and girls, do you remember what the author's job is? The author's job is to write the words, to create the story. They come up with an idea in their head of what they want to write about, and then they turn it into words on their computer or on paper, and then that goes even further and turns it into a storybook for us. The illustrator's name is Marla Frazee. I like these guys' names. Marla Frazee is the illustrator. And do you remember what the illustrator's job is? The illustrator's job is to draw the pictures. All right. One last question before I get the story started. Do you think this book is going to be fiction, like fake, or nonfiction, like not fake? Okay, so I've told you before, if it looks like there's drawings, there's a good chance that it's going to be fiction. Now, something like this might have really happened, that it might be nonfiction, but then the author turned it into a fiction, a fake story for us to read. Okay? All right. Once we get done reading the story, we'll do a writing activity at the end also. Harriet, You'll Drive Me Wild. Oh, I think almost every grown-up can relate to that. Look at her. She looks tired. She's holding a coffee mug. She's trying to catch up on the news. Oh, I think she looks kind of like me, aside she has the wrong hair color. I think all grown-ups can relate to this story right now, and probably even all of you kiddos. So this was a perfect story to pull out. Let me see if we can turn this just a little bit so you can see better. Harriet Harris was a pesky child. She didn't mean to be. She just was. I can't get those pictures to you just right like that. I'll have to turn it back. One morning at breakfast, maybe if I do it this way, then I can read the words, because it looks like they're going to have the words on every other. Oh, you know what? Before I keep going, I forgot to ask you a question. I wanted to ask you, whoa, I'm knocking over my stuff. Back here, Harriet Harris was a pesky child. That sentence, the word pesky, what do you think pesky means? She was a pesky child. She didn't mean to be. She just was. Look what she's doing. What do you think pesky means? Now, pesky means to bother people or to cause trouble. How could Harriet cause trouble without meaning to? Well, she might just do things that seemed like a good idea, but then maybe when they were totally done, maybe it wasn't the best idea after all. Or maybe she just didn't know better. Okay, now we can go to that next page. There it is. One morning at breakfast, she knocked over a glass of juice, just like that. Now, let me tell you, that happens at my house probably every other day. As soon as I do not give Hayes a lid on his cup, accidents get happened. Oh, now I gotta go this way. Her mother didn't like to yell, so instead she said, "Harriet, my darling child." "I'm sorry," said Harriet, and she was. At snack time, she dribbled jam all over her jeans, just like that. Have you ever gotten some of your lunch on your clothes? I mean, I know I have. We don't mean to do it. It just kind of happens sometimes. I know at my house, if Hayes is eating lunch, he likes to get up on his legs or turn sideways, and he's doing stuff like that. So I always tell him, buddy, if you would just sit on your bottom with both of your feet under the table, then those kinds of accidents wouldn't happen. And then I also always tell them, because guess who gets to clean it up? Usually me. Actually, usually I give him a napkin. I make him get started, but then I always have to go back over it to make sure nothing sticky is left behind. Her mother didn't like to yell, so instead she said, "Harriet, my darling child. Harriet, you'll drive me wild." "I'm sorry," said Harriet, and she was. Before lunch, when Harriet was painting a picture, she dripped paint onto the carpet, just like that. Oh no, do you think Harriet meant to drip paint? What do you think Harriet's mother will say? Do you remember what she's been saying on the other pages? What did she say? "Oh, darling, you'll drive me wild." That's why I said this book should be called "Oh, Hayes, You'll Drive Me Wild," because when I let him use dry erase markers, he dropped them on my office floor without the lids and got it on my carpet. Her mother didn't like to yell, so instead she said, "Harriet, my darling child. Harriet, you'll drive me wild." "Harriet, sweetheart, what are we to do?" "I'm sorry," said Harriet, and she was. My pages are sticking. At lunch, Harriet slid off her chair, and the tablecloth came with her, just like that. Oh my goodness, this is probably every mama's worst nightmare. Oh, Biscuit, I hear Hayes crying out there. Turn it and push. How did he hurt you?
In the wall.
Okay, come in here and sit down. Okay, go to your room so I can talk to you when I'm done. Shut the door. Hayes, you can sit right there until I'm done. And you'll need to sit quietly or you're going to go to your room also. Do you need to go potty? Oh goodness, I don't even know if I read this page, guys. I got distracted with these boys. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, if I read it already, I'm sorry. I'm going to read it one more time. Her mother didn't like to yell. So instead she said, Harriet, my darling child, Harriet, you'll drive me wild. Harriet, sweetheart, what are we to do? Harriet Harris, I'm talking to you. I'm sorry, said Harriet. And she was. Look at that page, guys. How does Harriet feel? How does her mother feel? And how can you tell? Well, look at Harriet's face down there under the pillow. I think she probably feels upset. Look at that. She doesn't look happy. I don't know that she looks sad either. She looks kind of cranky. And look at Mom's face. Mom looks upset. Mom looks bothered. Hayes wants to see. Okay, I've got to keep reading to my students, so you need to sit down. I'll read you this book when I'm done, because I'm already halfway through it. You can use that, that's fine. But if you start making a lot of noise, then I'm going to send you to your room too. Late that afternoon, go to your room. Go to your room. You didn't listen. Go to your room. Get up and go to your room, because if I have to turn this video off and send you to your room, you're going to be in big trouble. Get up on your feet and go. Boys and girls, I hope you listen to your grown-ups. Hayden and Hayes have come to figure out that when I'm videoing, they think that I'm not going to stop and make them follow directions. Hayes, get up on your feet right now and go to your room. Hurry up. I'm going to count to 10. You better be at the top of those stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bah! Hayes, you'll drive me wild. All right, back to our storybook. Later that afternoon, when Harriet was meant to be napping, she ripped open a pillow, just like that. So she was supposed to be napping, but she ripped open a pillow just like that. Now, did it just simply happen? 1,000 feathers flew in every direction. Did it just happen like that? Maybe if she wasn't horsing around with the dog. There was a terrible silence. Then Harriet's mother began to yell. Oops, sorry guys. She yelled and yelled and yelled. Oh, look at that face. Oh, I feel bad for both of them. I feel bad for Harriet and I feel bad for Mama, because I get it all. I'm sorry, Harriet cried. I'm really, really sorry. Now, guys, on this page, Harriet's mama, she was yelling. And we had heard over and over in the story that Harriet's mom doesn't like to yell, does she? So why do you think she's finally yelling at Harriet? And does yelling make anybody feel good? Does it make Harriet feel good? No. Does it make Mama feel good? No, I promise it doesn't, guys. I know sometimes I lose my patience, or I lose my temper with my boys, and I'm the same way. And guys, I've even told you in the classroom, I do not like raising my voice. I do not like having to yell. It does not make me feel good, and I know it doesn't make you guys feel good. So it's important that you follow directions. When grown-ups tell you something, we're not telling you to be mean. We're telling you just to help you out. You've got to follow the directions. So I think Mom, she just finally had enough of Harriet not following directions and all these accidents and things happening that Mom had to stop and keep cleaning up or taking care of when Mom was trying to do her work. Did you see that? Look at Mom. She's sitting down. She's trying to do her work. So she finally lost her temper. Have you lost your temper before? It happens to all of us. I didn't really lose my temper on him, but you just saw me get frustrated with Hayes. And Harriet cried, "I'm sorry, Mom, I'm really sorry." And I'm sure she is. Her mother took a deep breath. "I know you are," she said, hugging Harriet tight. "I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have yelled, and I wished I hadn't. But sometimes it just happens. Just like that." So, same thing happens for all of us. Sometimes it just happens. Like we might just be feeling a little frustrated, and before you know it, our thoughts turn into a yell. So, why do you think her mother takes a deep breath? We've heard Mrs. Wank talk to us about that before with our jelly bean friends. When you're angry or upset, did you know or do you remember that taking a deep breath can make you feel calmer? I know in the classroom I've told some of us take 3 deep breaths and let it out. Deep breaths and let it out. If you do that 3 times, it does help calm you down. All right. So why does Harriet's mom say she's sorry? Probably because she saw how upset Harriet was, and she doesn't want her to yell. And she still wants her to know that she still loves her. Look at that. Now, I promise you, I've gotten upset and I've yelled at my boys before. I still love them. I just want them to follow directions. "Big mess," said Harriet. "A very big mess," said Mother. And she started to laugh. I hear the crazies coming downstairs. And they laughed and laughed and went on laughing, and they picked up the feathers together. All right, boys and girls, I was going to do a writing with this at the end, but clearly I'm being interrupted by little boys who put cars in their mouth, all full of germs. We've talked about all the germs happening right now, and then my 2 little boys are running around here putting Matchbox cars in their mouths. Hayden, Hayes, you'll drive me wild. Till next time, boys and girls.